Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Chrome Tour golf ball from Callaway.
Twin Cities is the site for the 3M Open, the 6th year for the event, after it replaced a PGA Tour Champions stop. It's the home stretch right now. 2 regular season events left before the FedEx Cup playoffs. Some notables in the field this week. Tony Finay, former champion 2022. Billy Horschel coming off a tie for second at the Open Championship. That's his best ever finish at a major. Nick Dunlap, the first player in Tour history to win as an amateur and a pro in the same season. Just won the Barracuda Championship. Also, you will see Sahith Theegala and Sam Burns. Me, Amy Rogers, probably you, had a lot of travel issues over the weekend. Somehow I'm in Connecticut and she's in Minnesota, and we're glad for that. And she's covering 3M this week. Hi, Amy.
Hey there, Whit. Well, Tony Finau, he also made it here to Blaine, Minnesota. It's an opportunity he never wants to miss. Since the 3M Open was added to the PGA Tour schedule back in 2019, he has been here each and every year. He has 2 top 10s, a win here back in 2021, and has loved just coming back year after year. So Finau making the trip again this season, fresh off his trip to Scotland for the Open Championship, where he did miss the cut. He said he feels like he never really got his footing last week, really had a hard time adjusting to the jet lag and the time change, and felt a lot better once he got back here to the States. Finau met with the media earlier today, gave an assessment of his game, and described his special connection to this week's tour stop.
Yeah, I think the game feels pretty good. I didn't have the result I wanted last week. That second round was playing extremely difficult, and I didn't feel like I played bad. I hit a couple bad tee shots that ended up costing me a lot of shots. Which you can do in leagues golf, but overall, I've had a nice run over the last month, and just hope to continue that good form into this week.
You talked about the growth in it, and you've played a role in that, and that's not usually an opportunity that a player has, just because things have been more established. So, like, what has it been a part of? What has it been like being a part of a younger tournament and kind of playing a vital role in its growth?
Yeah, just as someone being around the tour now 10 years, playing, being a PGA Tour member for 10 years, I know how important every golf tournament is. To help this tournament kind of grow in just a little way that I have, I think it's been an incredible thing for me. 3M has been great to me. I think it has a lot to offer to the PGA Tour, and I feel like each year we've gotten a better field. This year maybe is our best, and if that trend continues, this is going to be a premier tournament, I think, for a lot of years on the PGA Tour. I hope that's the case. Again, I'll be here to support it no matter what.
Well, Finau made it here in time for this week's 3M Open, as so many around the world have been impacted by the airline issues, the tech outages that we dealt with last week that have now crept in to this week. A player impacted by some of those issues, Wesley Bryan, who ran into some issues just trying to leave last week's Barracuda Championship out in Reno. He made it as far as Salt Lake City, and then, well, I'll let Wesley Bryan tell you what happened.
As much of the country is suffering right now. Flights, we had some issues. I actually just hung around to hang out with Sam Stevens. We were rooming together last week. He made the cut, I missed the cut. With all it going on, I was like, well, I could change my flight and maybe mess some things up. So I was like, let's just keep the same flight, hang out with Sam for the weekend, and just get here late Sunday night or early Monday morning, whichever way you look at it. And we got on the flight, everything was good till we got to Salt Lake City. And then it was canceled right when we were supposed to go board. And at that point, I got Lee Chaney sitting next to me, caddies for Ryan Broom, and I said, you know what? I think we should just get a car. And we kind of looked, saw it was like 18 and a half hours. And so anyway, we went and rented a car, and I'll be honest, we had a great time. That was about as much fun as I could have ever imagined. It helped not having wife and kids and trying to figure out how to coordinate. So 2 grown men in a car for 20 hours. We had a blast.
What was the highlight? How did you pass the time?
Oh, there was a lot of phone calls. We watched or listened to a lot of shows. We stopped at a couple major landmarks like the Mitchell Corn Palace and Wall Drug in South Dakota. Those were good ones. Spent a lot of time in Wyoming. I don't even think we stopped, but maybe for gas one time in Wyoming. And hit a McDonald's and a Hardee's. And then had so much fun we forgot to eat dinner. So got here around 1 a.m. this morning and realized I was starved. And so anyway, just went to sleep instead.
Bryan tells me that he was able to get his head on a pillow at 2 a.m. local time, slept until about 9 o'clock this morning, so got a decent amount of sleep. But he no sooner arrived here in Minnesota and found out that his caddy's wife has gone into labor 3.5 weeks early. So then he needed to find someone to carry his bag this week. One of the manufacturing reps out here, Charles Woodward, will be on Bryan's bag. But we can certainly sympathize. I was up at 2:30 this morning to catch a flight to get here to Minnesota after my flight was canceled yesterday afternoon. My producer here not arriving until 3 o'clock this morning, and one of our videographers also not getting here until 1 o'clock this morning. Whit, we're a tired team. We could really use some rest. We're excited to get a little rest, get back out here tomorrow. I know you can sympathize. You ran into some travel troubles of your own.
Absolutely. Substitute the word Orlando for Minnesota, and it was the same thing that happened over the last 48 hours. Amy, thank you very much. Time now for Winning Moments, presented by carlsgolfland.com. 2 years ago at the 3M Open, Finau trailed by 5 shots with 11 holes to play, but got a little help from Scott Piercy and won by 3. At the time, the 3rd career win for Tony Finay, who also won the following week at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. This week, Tony Finay missed the cut at the Open Championship, but Paige, as we bring you in, 3 starts prior to that, 3 straight top 10s, including a tie for 3rd at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. So what Finay do we expect to see this week?
Well, there's a lot of good momentum. I kind of discount the Open and how he played there as sometimes players just don't have it for weeks of different caliber of golf, like an Open Championship. So for Tony Finay, a lot of momentum coming into this week, and a lot of it coming into the first round. In fact, when you talk about Tony Finay this season, he's got an interesting trend going on with how he's performed in events, not just the finishes, but kind of the trajectory of the finishes. And good news, bad news, he often gets out of the gate in good fashion. He's 15th in scoring average in the first round, has had quite a few hot starts, but then it slowly gets a little bit higher. In fact, the difference between his first round scoring average and his final round scoring average is over a full shot. So he's not been able to push it through the finish line in the way that he would like, considering the hot starts that we've seen from him, especially through that stretch that you mentioned, not only top 3 or 3 top 10s in a row, but 5 top 20 finishes in a row heading into the Open. So some good play coming into it, but we'll see if he can parlay that good first round through the rest of the week that we've seen so far this year.
Seeking his 7th win this week, as we are going to take you out to Minnesota, try to catch up with the big man Tony Finay as they play their practice rounds here Tuesday and Wednesday. We find him on the 12th here at TPC Twin Cities. What are the conditions like weather-wise, I wonder?
Well, so far it looks pretty good, and given all the travel issues, the last thing you want to do is have weather come into the mix. But for Tony Finay coming into this week, one of the things that he's done extremely well throughout his career, but in particular this season, is par 5 scoring. And when I'm looking at this golf course and potentially what it could mean for the players, Lee Hodges, who won last year, led the field in par 5 scoring. So it could potentially fit right into what he does well. He didn't perform as well in that category as Lee did when he played and won here in 2022. But Lee averaged 12 under on the 12 par 5s throughout the week.